And it sounds like you work with a pretty diverse set of clients, from tribal governments to public agencies and private sector partners. Can you share a little bit about what that's like and maybe even an example project?
At any given time, I'm usually managing 5 to 8 projects. Some of them are very complicated, very large, multi-million-dollar development projects in kind of the technical, high-tech world. And at the same time, I might be managing a $50,000 grant for a tribe who is looking to provide additional housing for their community, which has a notorious lack of housing and infrastructure.
Did you know that diverse teams make better decisions, often outperforming their peers by 35 or more %? In the AEC industry, where cross-disciplinary collaboration is the norm, strong leadership isn't just helpful, it's actually essential. In this episode, I'm joined by Susan Devine, Community Building Division Manager and Principal Consultant at Parametrix. With over 30 years of experience across public, private, and tribal sectors, Susan will talk about leadership principles that have shaped her career and how mentorship drives both project success and career growth. We're also going to talk about why employee ownership can transform team engagement and culture. If you're looking to lead more effectively or help others around you rise, this conversation is going to be for you. I'm your host, Rebecca Swaby, and this is the AEC Leadership Podcast. With that, let's jump right in. Okay, so Susan, to get started, can you tell us a little bit about your career background and what was the path that led you to your role today as principal consultant?
Sure. It's kind of a winding road, so I apologize if it's a longer story, but to me, it's an exciting and rewarding story. So I started out with Parametrix as a marketing coordinator a long time ago, several decades ago, in fact, and I was fully intending to be helping the firm to pursue projects and win work as part of the marketing team. And what I learned is that the engineering field was full of opportunities for people that liked to solve problems, which I thought of myself as. And Parametrics in particular was very encouraging of exploring ways that you can bring all your talents to the table. So I started out in marketing and I moved into doing a lot of our public outreach, which was a great alignment with my background, which my degree was in communications and advertising. So I really liked going out to public meetings, talking to city council people and elected folks about why a certain project was needed and what the benefit to the community would be. And I did that for many years. And what I learned was at the end of the day, that really was the heart of the project. People wanted to know, why are we building this project? Why do we need a water line? Why do I need a new road? And how do we solve all of the complex human problems around infrastructure? Like we might need part of your property. There might be, it's impact fee that you have to pay as a result of this project. So I really loved the ability to connect the technical part of what we do with the human part of the result that we leave in communities and neighborhoods long after we're gone. So just sort of progressed over time doing more and more of that and became a project manager and became a group leader and a division manager. And now I've been here, almost over 30 years, and I'm a principal consultant, still loving all the things that originally were so inspiring to me about what we do, really creating the connection between complex problems that we're trying to solve and the people that we solve them for.
Oh, that's really amazing. I think a lot of people starting out in their career, they think of marketing when it comes to proposals, selling the company, the services,
Right.
but it's as you highlighted, so important on the actual projects too, because a big part of what we're doing is, sharing what we're doing with the community.
Exactly. And I think when people know the why, then they really connect to being open about the solutions that we're bringing. So I've just always been very lucky to have mentors and leadership within Parametrics that encouraged me to follow that path and didn't require that I had to have a technical degree in order to make a difference on projects that very much are technical in nature. So my teams that I work with are very multidisciplinary: planners, scientists, engineers, working together to provide solutions.
Mhm. And I have to ask you more about that step from marketing and proposals into project management. How did that go? What was the actual push that got you into the PM role?
I think I really have an insatiable curiosity about this business that we're in, engineering as a field, but also consulting as a service to our clients. And I just realized that I have organizational skills and people skills and ability to understand and translate sometimes complicated things to average people. And I thought, I bet I could do this. And I worked with people that took me up on that. And then from that point, it really just became projects of increasing complexity and size to where now I'm working on some very, very demanding and large projects. And I feel like still learning. I'm very curious person by nature. So I ask a lot of questions. And I think, there's a lot of like philosophy related to project management and leadership. And in my opinion and in my experience has been, it really just comes back to wanting to be of service to our clients to deliver the things that make our communities' lives better, right? Like we
Mhm,
can get to
mhm.
work easier, we can flush our toilets and not think about it, we can build parks and recreation facilities and all the things that we take for granted as just as citizens of our community. But there's a whole field of practice that's coming to you with solutions and listening to you with your feedback. So I think project management and kind of that career ladder there was really just another manifestation of being curious.
Yeah, amazing how far curiosity can take you.
Yes.
And I'd love to learn a little bit more about your current role and what you do in the day to day as principal consultant. Can you talk about that?
Sure. At Parametrix specifically, this principal consultant role is really senior leadership, and it can be in a specific technical area or it can be in a field of practice. In my case, in particular, I am leading a group that we call our community building team in Oregon and Idaho. And that is the sector of our firm that does survey, construction management, land development, and infrastructure related primarily to private clients. So I'm working with group leads and project teams on a regular basis on how to deliver work that we have. And in kind of a full circle moment, I'm still marketing and, building our practice and working with our teams to go after, pursue, and win new project work. So the principal consultant really allows me to do the things that I love, which is working with our teams, working with our clients, and also still delivering projects because I very much love the challenge of a really hard project with a lot of complicated components.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And it sounds like you work with a pretty diverse set of clients, from tribal governments to public agencies and private sector partners. Can you share a little bit about what that's like and maybe even an example project?
Sure. So I've been really fortunate in working with a really diverse spectrum of clients, as you said, from the public sector, which I think is what people maybe initially think of engineering, civil engineering, particularly as working with. But I also work with tribal clients and port districts and a wide variety of different types of agencies. And for as different as those clients are, maybe in their ability to get grants or how they deliver work. At the same time, they're also very similar because, again, they're representing their communities who need food, access to food, to water, to housing, to all the things that we, endeavor to provide through our projects. So at any given time, I'm usually managing 5 to 8 projects. Some of them are very complicated, very large, multi-million dollar development projects in kind of the technical, high tech world. And at the same time, I might be managing a $50,000 grant for a tribe who is looking to provide additional housing for their community, which has a notorious lack of housing and infrastructure. So I like that I get the challenge of the big hard projects. And I love that I also get to do the work that is super meaningful to me personally, and this at the smaller scale. And at the end of the day, I feel that it's really about listening and connecting to the client constituency, whoever it might be. And it might sound like sort of so obvious, or maybe like, why are we talking about this? It's engineering. But what we're talking about is how we connect solutions to real people. And when we are done and the plans are stamped and the project's put aside, that in many cases, people don't even know what happened. There's a water line under the ground,
Mhm.
or there's new jobs in my community because we helped build a place where people are going to work every day. But it really is almost that simple, right? Like we need really smart, really technical people to solve problems. And at the end of the day, the people that we're solving for them for is just ourselves and other people just like us that live and work in many different places and under many different conditions and constraints.
Mm. Yeah, that's amazing. It's like all of the problems that we personally think about in our own lives too,
Exactly.
just across many different circumstances.
Exactly. And so for an example project that I've been working on now, and most of my clients I've been really blessed to have very long relationships with. I've been at Parametrix for over 30 years. I've had many clients for 20 years plus, 10 years plus, as well as new
Amazing.
clients. But one client in particular is a tribe located in Northwest Washington state, and they are in a tsunami zone. So they are really subject to things happening to them and they're out of their control. And so we've been really fortunate to be able to partner with them to find grant dollars and other funding mechanisms to provide new and safer facilities on higher ground out of the danger of flood lands. So that is a project that I've been working on that's had every aspect of what we do from Parametrics, from environmental to transportation to water to land development, providing a brand new school. And again, that long term relationship with the tribal government and the tribal communities really inspiring to me. And I'm hoping to keep working with them many, many years into the future.
Oh, it's such an important project. And
Yes.
earlier you spoke about listening as being a really important principle in your work. Are there any other core principles or lessons that you found to be valuable when working with the diverse range of clients?
I think for me, especially since I'm not an engineer, so I'm not coming in as the person that's going to do the calculations and come up with the solutions. I'm coming in as the person who's your partner, your trusted partner to get things done. So it's about being authentic. And so I don't, early on, I might have felt almost a need to apologize that I wasn't an engineer. Now I really find that like it's okay to just be authentically who I am, which is someone who is your advocate and your partner to help guide you through all of the things that are going to come up. Projects have their great days and they have their really challenging days, and sometimes we worry about not enough money or too much anti-public sentiment about our project. And so I just feel like if I can come to you the client or you the community from really authentic place of just I'm just another person like you trying to make good decisions and do the right thing for other people. And I think that's a really important part of leadership, just being yourself, listening, being yourself, and being approachable. It's so easy to say, I'm busy, and my calendar is completely full. But I feel like being approachable and being available is super important, especially as I get to sort of to the other side of my career, and I'm really thinking about how are we building up the leaders that are coming behind us, and what do they need? They need support. They need guidance in some ways. They need to be able to make mistakes and
Mhm.
have that be okay. I've made plenty of mistakes in my career, but I've been fortunate to have people that were sort of a safety net saying, how do we learn from this? How do we go forward? What can I do to support your growth? So I think it's listening, being authentic, and being available. Like there's a lot of fancy books to read about leadership, but at the end of the day, I just feel like, how do I show up? How do I show up for people that work with me, that work for me, and for our clients that pay for the time that we provide?
Mm. It must be a much more comfortable place to operate from too when you're talking about being authentic. Have you always felt that you could be authentic in your work at Parametrics, or is that something that you've grown into over time?
I feel like I've grown into it as I've been more confident that everyone, like, I don't have to always be the smartest person in the room. If I'm really listening to make connections, it's not about who's the smartest because we all have the things that we bring to the puzzle of projects. But I feel like Parametrics, we are an employee-owned firm, and it's a really important part of our culture because we know that together we are building something for the employee owners, for their future, for the future of the company. And so, because of that, I feel that it's a very supportive environment to help people to feel confident and comfortable in the positions they're in and to provide other leaders to help you make that happen. So, I think a lot of it is the confidence of time. I don't think I was always that way. I was probably not as open to being authentic early on because mostly I was afraid that someone would see behind the curtain and I might not know something. But I feel it's a lot more powerful to just be you, and you don't have to know everything. That's not your job. Your job is to connect dots and to get everyone through to the finish line at the end.
Oh, yeah. That's great advice. And just going back to projects for a second, it sounds like the projects can be quite complex at times. How do you approach leading projects that involve such a high degree of complexity, especially those with multiple stakeholders and community impact or interest?
That's a great question. And I think, again, and I'm not trying to overplay this, but it really is, all projects are complicated, right? Some of them are multi-million dollar complications and some of them are $50,000 complications. And for whatever reality you're living in and whatever project you're delivering, it's equally complicated, right? So it's pretty scalable, I think. First off is to have teams of people that are experts in their field. We have a wide variety of engineers, scientists, and planners who know a lot more about certain things than I might know. So my job is to identify all the best people that can bring part of the solution to a client. I think from a stakeholder perspective, it comes back to listening, being available and wanting to understand where people are coming from. So I try to not overcomplicate it. I try to really just think about, here's all the things that have to happen, and they all have to come together at the end at the same time in some miraculous fashion. A lot of which is just being super organized, which I am. I have a capacity to do a lot of things at once. I just have always been that way. So I think that's part of it. But I try to not let myself be overwhelmed by the size of something and more about just the how are we going to get there. So I do find that to be scalable and really just means the bigger it is, the more other people you need on your team that know what they're doing and that have the same motivation as you, which is to get to the end successfully together. And in that regard, I just like to call myself a project advocate because I'm here to help you. And it's going to take more than me. It's going to take a lot of sometimes a very large team of people, but it comes back to sort of the essential communication skills, right? Maybe I'm all the way back to my original, goal of when I went to school and thought I was going to be, communications expert or a news broadcaster. At the end of the day, you're still just figuring out ways to connect people and their stories and bring to bear the best minds to solve problems.
Well, it sounds like you've done it in a way. You're definitely a communications expert, it sounds like, given the
Well,
scale and scope of these
I love to
projects.
talk. No.
Yeah. it's
I love to
it's a
listen
good
too,
thing.
but I really find myself, more and more is really the best way to mentor and train and people. As I said, I'm kind of at the back, maybe end of my career now, is like, how do I share what I know with people? So I'm really trying to take a step back on, and even like answering your question, how do you approach these complex projects and asking people how they would solve them, talking through, the pluses and minuses of different ways of doing it. And also recognizing that, we have a lot more tools, technology and otherwise now that help us do our jobs. And so really trying to also understand how different people are motivated and how to best help their own career development to become project managers and leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. So important. In your experience, what makes project management in AEC in this industry unique? And how can leaders improve in this space?
Great question. I think sometimes we just want to go right to the solution and have the most beautiful, perfect set of plans or the best model that is anticipating any possible thing that could ever happen. But we're trying to deliver solutions within the reality of an agreed upon contract. But there's a scope, there's a schedule, and there's a budget. And so trying to weigh all of the things that influence a project as you're trying to deliver it are all important. And I think as a consultant, like this is a message I really try to share with the teams that I work with is we're consultants. So yes, we're either planners, engineers, scientists, but we're also consultants. And the consulting business is much bigger than the technical solution, right? At the end of the day, we have to make money. We're taking care of our clients so that they like us and they want to come back and work with us again. We are very much about a business in which engineering and the sciences is something that we provide as our thing we do. That's what we don't manufacture things.
Right.
We don't build cars. We sell time, we sell innovation, we sell ideas, and we then deliver all of that within a package called a project that does have to make money. And it does have to be of high quality and it has to be completed on time, which we agreed to in a contract. So I just love the fact that it's a business environment and an engineering environment at the same time. And I think that's something that graduates of the various different technical programs, engineering sciences, survey, GIS, whatever it might be, I don't know that when they come to consulting, they realize that that's very much what we do. Like we're packaging that up into something that we're selling. So I love that. And I like thinking about it and talking about it and also not being apologetic that we're here to provide a service. We are here to do all the best things that I talked about, but we're also here to return a profit to our company, in our case, to our employees, and really to provide value to our clients for all those things.
Yeah. I love that so much too. And it seems like in your role, you have very much a horizontal view from the client to the different subject matter expertise in the company, all the different people on the team, for example. For those that are just in the weeds on the technical work, the engineering, for example, do you think it's important to share the information around the business to give them context on why certain decisions might be being made
Oh,
at a higher level?
oh, 100%. So one of the things that was so lucky early on, I had a few mentors and they would say, come to this meeting. I mean, in those days, it was grab your pad and paper and come to this meeting, not to take notes at the meeting, but like hear the firsthand what we're doing, what the client is asking for. And so I was able to participate even just by listening. I didn't often say much at the time to what was happening. And I feel like that is the same. I owe that same level of opportunity to people that I'm working with. If you're an E1, an E2, a surveyor, a scientist or a planner, and you're going to be on a project, you should come to a project meeting where the client is at. And don't let me be the one to filter what I think is important for you to hear, but for you to hear firsthand. So I very much think about that when I'm budgeting projects. Like, how am I engaging our people that are closest to the problem solving part of it? How do I engage them at a level that's not too much, but that gives them access to the conversations about all the other things that a project is, right? Which is, like I talked about, it's budgets, it's schedules, it's politics,
Mhm.
it's the socioeconomic environment of what we're delivering in. So I really encourage the all levels to understand that it is a horizontal business and to come and listen to more than their piece.
Mhm.
Because I
Mhm.
think if you understand where your piece is in the context, you do a much better job of helping solve problems, right? Like
100%.
if I just expect someone to sit at their desk and wait for me to come and tell them something, but they don't know why they're doing it and they don't understand how it contributes to the eventual success, I don't think that's motivating for those people. And also, it's not very helpful for them to grow their careers.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I 100% agree. That's great. And on the topic of mentorship, what other strategies have you found to be most effective for mentoring and guiding early career professionals, especially when we touched on it a bit, but trying to align their development within the broader organizational goals? This can be a challenge.
Yeah, and I try to be a mentor like I had. So again, I've had mentors that were CEO. I've had mentors that were project managers. I had mentors that were in our marketing department or in our business operations side of things. So I'm find myself now mentoring E2s and E3s, which is really challenging and great because it's equally rewarding for me to hear other perspectives and to think back about, well, why are we doing it like this? Maybe there's newer, better, smarter ways of doing things. And so I find that mentoring is really a two-way street. Like, I love to think I'm sharing information and advice, but really more than that, I love to hear what gets people excited about this industry, what challenges they have. Maybe if they started out thinking they loved civil engineering or road design, but now what they really are interested in is stormwater and water resources. Like, I love that. And I love to say, like, let's go find people. We've got 900 people in our company. Let's go find someone who can help you, maybe put you on a project or talk a little bit about that, because this industry can be so broad. And certainly what we did when we're 21, 25 is probably not the same things we're going to be interested when we're 31 or 45. So with the young early career professionals, I really do try to say, like, what are all the things you want to know? Like, do you want to learn how to write a scope of work? Do you want to learn how to write a proposal? Do you want to try some other client sector at some point? Because some of our clients on the private sector are very schedule driven. They're very intense and the delivery is really tough. And others have a different pace. So I just find that, like, from a mentoring standpoint, my job is to expose people that want it and that are interested in it to the broadest variety of what we can do and help them figure out, like, what's my path? Like, hopefully they're here 30 years from now, still at Parametrix, because they don't have to leave because there's so many options and opportunities within what we already do.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And it sounds like they've kept you happy for a long time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, great example. We know Parametrics is an employee-owned company. What role does that play in shaping the leadership culture and long-term commitment from staff to the firm?
I think it's really employee ownership, especially the way that we do it and live it, in which case it is everybody is equally invested as an employee. So the higher you are doesn't mean you get a bigger percent or you're more important. In the ESOP, it's about we and not me. So it's, what do I bring to the table that benefits everyone? So as a result, I think our leadership style is a couple of things: very collaborative, very accessible. We have high standards and high expectations because when we all succeed together, we all, like, literally succeed on behalf of our clients, but also on behalf of our own, the share value of our own firm. So I think the leadership is really directly engaged in people in a different way, but not just from the side of being collaborative, which is obviously extremely important, but also, like, hey, I have high expectations of myself and I want to empower you to have high expectations of you. So tell me, how can I support you? What can we provide you? What makes your job easier, faster, more efficient, more rewarding? And so I think our leadership brand is very much about we, and a lot less about me. I think we're very much in the service role. I consider myself in a service role to the people that I'm working with on my projects, and also others at Parametrics that are starting to build their careers. And I find that to be true of the people that I work for, and all the way up to our C-suite is very much about a leadership style of support, collaboration, and challenging each other to be our best and do our best. All those things sound so cliche, but after 30 years, I know it's just who we are. It's just who we are at Parametrics.
Right. Yeah. And so, what final piece of advice can you give to other AEC leaders who want to lead effectively in today's diverse and highly collaborative environment?
I would say, kind of back to the beginning, like, be curious, be authentic. We don't all have to be like perfect or know everything. We had to be approachable and real and just have a passion for what you do, right? I love what I do. And I think our clients know when we're passionate about what we do with them. So that's probably it. Those are, I don't have any like go read this book or that. I would just say like show up, care, listen, and expect a lot of yourself so that when you expect a lot of others, it's coming from a place of, hey, we're in it. We're in it together. And I'm going to do all the hard work just like you're going to do all the hard work. And together, we're going to make it better for our clients, for our company, for the places that we live and work.
Oh, that's great advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes. Well, thank you for asking me to be here. And I loved chatting with you, and best wishes on your career development as well.
Yeah, thank you. Please remember, you can find all of the show notes from today's episode at aecleadershippodcast.com. There you'll find a summary of the key points that we talked about in today's episode, as well as all other links to resources, books, or websites that we mentioned.